All right, welcome. Today we're talking about Chrome Music Lab. This is the third video, and we're going to be talking about inversions today. Before we move ahead, I want to talk about what we've talked about so far. So in the first video lesson, we talked about the major scale. In the second lesson, we talked about using intervals, measuring the distance between notes in the major scale to build chords. And the most important chord that we discussed was called the triad. All right, so the triad is the root, third, and fifth, and every single note that is in the major scale is basically becomes the root of a triad. All right, so for do, that's the root of the one chord, and from do we have a third and a fifth. That are the harmony notes that build the triad. All right, and it's the same for all of the other notes in the scale, and we're about to demonstrate that. But first, I just want to introduce the idea that we're going to be talking about today, which is inversions. All right, so what an inversion is it looks at how are the notes arranged in a triad. All right, so in the past we were just doing the root, third, fifth, and we're going to kind of switch that up today. So let's get into SongMaker. All right, there I am. Okay, so let's start with do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, there's the major scale. So these are all the roots, and each one of these, it's like the root of a chord. All right, so we're gonna add the thirds to each one of those notes. Okay, so those are the thirds. Now we're going to add the fifths. All right, so this is kind of where we ended off last lesson, looking at the root, third, and fifth. So basically, before I move on, actually, I'm going to go into the settings here. I'm going to move myself here, go into the settings, and change the range of the SongMaker. Right now, it's 2 octaves, okay? So what the range of, of an instrument is, the range is the lowest note and the highest note, okay? Those are the parameters. So right now it's 2 octaves, but we're actually gonna be using 3 octaves. So I just hit the plus there, pressing the check mark. All right, now I'm gonna move myself back over here, get out of the way. Okay, so now we've got another floor. So I kind of think right now it's like the do is on the ground floor. All right, we got these steps going up, and then we got this octave up here. Okay, this is the second floor, and if we wanted to, it's kind of like one of those staircases that goes in a spiral. Look, now we're on the third floor, and then we're gonna go up to the ceiling, going up to the ceiling of the third floor. All right, so but we can't get on top of the roof there. But anyway, that is the range of the SongMaker for today. Oops. Okay, so we got our 3 triads right here. And what we want to do is talk about the names that we use to invert them. All right, so they are called positions, and currently we are in root position. What that means is that the root is in the bass. It's the lowest note. All right, so right now the root is in the lowest note, and you can see that here. Oops, whoa, that was cool. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Whoa. Okay, so we got the root in the lowest. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the root of each one of these chords, and we're going to put it in the top. We're going to put it on top. Okay, so we're hitting the octave of all of the roots. All right, now we just left the root note as a placeholder, but we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so just a minute ago we had the pattern of 1, 3, 5, 1, right? But now we've gotten rid of the lowest note, so it's just actually called the pattern is 3, 5, 1. All right, so now the third is in the lowest position. All right, and this is called first inversion. So previously we had 135, that was called root position. Now we have 351. This is called first inversion. And I actually have a piece of paper that I spent a lot of time writing all this stuff out, and it is available to you for free. I'll put it in the info section of this video. It's great to download. It's a great reference. And there's another piece of paper that comes with it that has some of the information we covered in the first 2 lessons. So look out for that, and it's a great reference. But what we want to do, so we got this first inversion here, right? 351. Now, the next inversion is where we take this third and we put it in the octave, all right? And you know what's helpful with this is the colors. I can just see it. All right, so yellow's the third in the 1 chord. I'm going to take the green one, find it on top. Oops, there we go. I'm just going to keep doing that. In fact, I'm not going to delete the bottom one until I get to the top one, because it just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so now I'm going to go delete the third in the bass because it's on top. All right. When we have those 4 chords, when we have those 4 notes like that, it's still a triad because one of the notes is repeated, right? And when we have 4 notes like that, it's like a creative voicing, right? So we'll talk about voicings later, which is basically a creative way to use inversions, okay? But so right here, we got the second inversion because right now the 5th is in the bass. So now we have 5, 1, and 3. That's the pattern, all right? So let's hear how this sounds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave, all right? So this is the second inversion, 5, 1, 3, all right? Root position, 1, 3, 5. First position, 3, 5, 1. And second position is 5, 1, 3. That's all on this piece of paper in case you can't remember all of that. But really, learning these inversions is very useful when you're learning an instrument, because you can just go and like kind of do some exercises where you play all these notes, and it kind of gives your hands the muscle memory, okay? But the name of first, third, root position, whatever, is not that important in my opinion. Especially, we're going to be using this creatively. And I think the most important thing to know is, like, you're starting off with your basic triad, and then you can organize those notes really however you want. And this is kind of where we're getting into the creative, creative aspect, because you can really make this however you want. So let's see. So right now, this whole line is ascending. You can see it going up there. Oh, crud, I forgot to do the first one. All right. Okay, so now the first one is in second inversion for the 1 chord. But what we want to do is we want to start messing with this. All right. So let's, I'm going to start with the 1 chord, and I'm going to bring this yellow one down here to first inversion. Okay. And I'm going to go to the 3 chord, and I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to put that one in first inversion as well. I'm going to this 4 chord, and, let's put it in root position. How about that? So you can see we're kind of changing the order. It was going up. Now it's going down. The chords are still going up, right? Because it's still 1, 2, 3, 4. But now the way that it looks is it's actually descending, even though the chords are going up. So that is a really creative way to do this, and it can sound pretty neat. So I'm going to take this T right here, put it in the bottom. And when I'm doing this, I don't actually know what they're called. I'm just kind of messing around with the inversions. And I don't always know the names of what I'm doing, but that doesn't mean I don't understand the concept behind it. It's kind of become a part of my hands and part of my process. But in order to introduce these concepts, that's why I'm using the names, because it's helpful. But after a while, you kind of just start rearranging. You start recognizing the patterns. Oops, there we go, and making use of them on your own, in your own creative way. And you can kind of see what's happened here is I've kind of created this wave. It's like starts down here, it goes up, and it goes down, and then it's going up higher here. And I I think this might sound pretty cool. Let's hear it. Except that last chord is actually wrong. There we go. So let's check this out. All right, I'm liking the way this sounds, but when we get to that 6th chord, I feel like this jump is a little bit high, okay? So I'm gonna put this blue note here. And we actually, you know, I wanna talk about the word, what does it mean? Basically what we're doing is we're harmonized by playing with these, you know, playing with these inversions. And so kind of how I think of what something is to harmonize is, you know, harmony is like that kind of makes things work together well. If you harmonize something, you make it work together. It's like if you have a bunch of different people in a room and everyone has a way that they want to do something, and it's, you know, you got to figure out a way to make everything work together, all the people work together. Or I kind of think of harmonizing as you're reducing the extremes. In music, it's like you're making sure none of the notes are too high and none of the notes are too low, all right? Or like if you're gonna like volume or something, you know? You don't want something to be super loud because then you can't hear the things that are super quiet, but you don't want some things to be so quiet that you can't hear them with everything else. So it's kind of trying to create a cohesiveness. So we're trying to harmonize the harmonies, all right? And there's a lot of different ways in music that concept of harmony takes place. And right now we're looking at it in the harmonic way. How can we make the harmonies of all of these different chords work together? Okay, so you can see between the 6th and the 7th chord, there's still kind of a big jump there. So I'm going to bring that down in the bottom. And then I'm going to take this, the 5th of the 1 chord on or the octave chord. I'm going to bring that 5th down. And this is 2nd position right there because it's 5, 1, 3. All right. This is all stuff that can be reviewed in that piece of paper. See how it kind of creates a wave there? I think that's kind of cool. And the way that wave occurs is because I'm using a combination of root position chords, 1st inversion and 2nd inversion. Okay, I'm just rearranging the roots, 3rds, and 5ths to kind of make, you know, just make it kind of look like a wave, make it look cohesive. Okay, so for this 2nd chord, I'm going to bring the green one down here, and I'm going to do that same thing for the 3rd chord. Okay, so now that 3rd chord is in root position, so I think this might even be a little bit more cohesive. Let's hear. Okay, so I could mess with this all day and you know, come up with some creative things, but what I want to do is I want to give you kind of an exercise for something you can do in here, and we are going to do the same chord progression we did at the end of the last lesson. Okay, so we're going to do the 1 chord, the 4 chord, because these are the most popular chords and they're just kind of easy to learn this concept. All right, so we got the 1 chord, the 4 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord. That's what kind of chord progression this is. Now I'm gonna double it for each one of these, so it happens twice. Now, this is where, whoops, it can get kind of fun, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave the first, each time the chord happens the first time, I'm gonna leave that in root position, but the second time it happens, I'm gonna change it up. So it's still the same chord, but it's a different inversion. So I'm gonna take the root note, the second time the 1 chord happens, I'm gonna put it in the octave place. All right, now I'm going to, we got the 4 chord right here, leaving the first time it happens alone, and then the second time it happens, I'm gonna take that root, put it up here. Oops. There we go. All right, now I am going to, we got the root chord here. Now we got the 5, so this is the 5 chord. I'm gonna leave the first one alone. Then I'm gonna take that second one and I'm actually gonna put the 5th in the bass. So this is 2nd position. And I'm gonna do that same thing for the 4 chord. I'm gonna put the 5th in the bass. All right, and you can kind of see it creates this wave. You know, starts going up, starts going down. So this is, we've taken that chord progression, which is kind of like linear, and kind of made it into a wave. All right, let's hear how this sounds. All right, that was just one way of doing it. There are a million ways to harmonize a 1-4-5-1 or a 1-4-5-4 chord progression, right? So keep in mind we just did 3 different chords, and how many different ways can we harmonize those 3 different chords? Root, first, second, those 3 different inversions. Okay, so that's 9 different options here. All right, so we've got 7 chords and we've got 3 inversions each. All right, so that's 21 options. And imagine all of the different ways you can rearrange those 3 different chords. And also keep in mind, we're just talking about triads. Triads are the most basic chord harmony, but we can get into 7th chords, 9th chords, 11th chords, all these different types of chords. And then we can do the inversions in a creative way, create our own creative voicings. So you can already start to see the reason why, you know, you can play music your whole life and always be creative. Okay, this knowledge really helps you find this endless potential of creativity. And this is really just the beginning, because we're just talking about these notes are very kind of monotonous compared to a live instrument. Okay, so, and then yeah, it just keeps on going, right? So right now we're just focusing on learning how this works. I'm gonna make some more exercises that kind of apply this information and tie it back to some of the instruments that we demonstrated at the beginning. So stay tuned for the next one, and share this with your friends. And remember, I've got this piece of paper for free for you. So find it and have fun.